Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session on Accelerating to Modern Data Protection with Veeam and AWS. My name is Dustin Albertson, and I am the Manager of Cloud and Application Alliances for Product Management at Veeam. And with me, I have Eric Ellenberg, who is a Systems Engineer with our Public Cloud Group. And we're both here today to talk to you about Veeam and AWS. So the first question it may be for some of you, who is Veeam, right? Veeam is the global leader in modern data protection, specializing in backup and recovery and DR solutions. We provide a single platform for protecting cloud, virtual, physical workloads across hybrid environments, cloud-native environments, Kubernetes platforms, SaaS, a mix of all of them together. Our main focus there is to keep it simple, flexible, reliable, and powerful. And Veeam currently has over 400,000 customers worldwide, including 83% of the Fortune 500 and 69% of the Global 2000. Our design strategy is we designed it around the philosophy of four principles: simple, flexible, reliable, and powerful. We want them to be easy to use, easy to administrate, and flexible enough to make sure that all your different type of hardware platforms, cloud environments are all easily available and able to be plugged in. Those are the core principles that we try to stand by whenever we're developing something. But our core focus for all of our products is modern data protection. What does that mean? I mean, you can see here on the screen, we try to live by these three guides, right? So protect, manage, unleash. Protection is really exactly what it sounds like. It's the protection of that data. It's the automation of where to place that data, that backup that we're taking. As well as threat protection, from malware and using object lock and things like that to protect that data. The management of that is, again, the management, right? It's making sure that you can do DR orchestration, that you can leverage APIs and PowerShell to be able to orchestrate the protection of that data, as well as the tiering of that data. And again, monitoring and remediation. Monitoring is really important as well. So we want to make sure that when you are taking backups, you're able to have reports that report on not only the backups that you have taken, but also help you plan for the future. And then finally, unleashing of that data. What that means in Veeam talk is that we give you ways to be able to leverage that data more than just letting it sit there on backup storage just in case you need it. You can restore it into EC2, for example, and create a test dev environment. You can be able to scan those for malware or viruses before you even perform a restore. It's your data. We want to give you ways to leverage that data other than just sitting there for backup. So that leads us into the platform. The platform is what all of our products are designed around. So I'm going to let Eric talk to you about our Veeam platform and how it integrates. Eric?
Yeah, thanks, Dustin. So let's talk about the Veeam platform for a few minutes and how we can use it to support modern data protection principles. So what we're looking at here really are just some of the core capabilities of the Veeam platform and some of the environments that we protect, which is a lot. We're aiming to be a single platform where you can protect your data wherever you're hosting those workloads and wherever you're storing the data. That's important to you. The second thing here that I just want to point out, just a general point, is Veeam wants to be an open platform. So, we sell these different environments where you can protect data with Veeam and the different things you can do with Veeam to protect that data. We have integrations with over 60 different partners so that you can leverage the native capabilities of those storage platforms and those solutions so that you can take advantage of those capabilities in Veeam in your backup solution. Third here is that Veeam is a software-defined solution. So, we want the solution to be highly configurable so that you can set it up the way that makes most sense for your organization. Fourth and finally here, just as a general point, is Veeam wants to be a simple, flexible, reliable, and powerful solution to really give you control of all of these different aspects of data protection for your organization with a single platform. So if we dive in a little deeper here on this slide, there's a lot going on in this slide, a lot of text. I just want to cover this kind of in just three main points. So I spoke earlier about the different environments that Veeam supports. So we have a wide portfolio of products that will protect data in multiple platforms, whether it's in the cloud, in AWS, whether it's like Microsoft 365, or if you have an on-premise like private data center, virtual environment, or even physical servers and workstations, you can use Veeam to protect all of those things. On the right over here are just kind of elaborating on some of those core capabilities that Veeam is built around. Reusing your data gives you the ability to use your data in new ways, not just to have the data sit there and just wait for something to happen, but to actively use it, make informed decisions with the data that is there. Part of that data reuse principle here is cloud mobility, being able to move workloads between different platforms. Like if you were doing, as Dustin will elaborate on here a little later, a migration from on-premises to AWS, you can use Veeam to do that. We also want to provide that orchestration and automation capabilities. So, if you need to have a situation, or you're trying to face a situation where something bad has happened and you need something to recover that quickly and simply and powerfully, then you have a product that's going to do that for you, and you're not going to sweat about it. A couple other things here, just again, giving you some control of what you can do with that data to unleash the business value in it, being able to monitor what's going on in the environment, and gain some insights through our analytics. The final thing here I just want to touch on is depending on where you're deployed and how you're deployed in your organization, you can use Veeam to protect things just in AWS, or again in your on-premises environment and in AWS. We also have a wide variety of partners that you can basically use Veeam as a backup as a service, or as a disaster recovery as a service. So there's a lot of different options here for how you can use Veeam to protect your data and give you some peace of mind. Now, so I've talked a lot about these general points about the Veeam platform and the different core capabilities that are in the entire platform. We really want to focus the rest of this session on the different capabilities that Veeam has with AWS when they're working together. So we have some things listed here, including backup to AWS and archive to AWS. As well as ransomware protection. I'm going to hand it off to Dustin now for him to go more in depth on those capabilities to show us what Veeam can give you.
Thank you, Eric. So yeah, we're going to take a look at some of these use cases. These are all very specific use cases, but we're going to start out with the first one here is extending your data center into AWS. Usually the first step that anybody takes in the public cloud is sending backups offsite, right? So let's take a look at these three use cases. Backing up to AWS, archiving to AWS, and of course, ransomware protection. So if you take a look at this slide, it looks kind of busy, but what we're really showing here is a typical design or an enterprise environment. On the upper left-hand side there, you can see that's an on-prem data center. And you see a myriad of different types of VMs and physical machines. So you have VMware, Microsoft Hyper-V, Nutanix, but you also have physical Windows and Linux boxes. Down below, you have a couple of other different cloud providers, as well as this customer may have Microsoft Office 365. But what we're really focusing on there is that little orange box that you see. That is what's called our scale-out backup repository. And what scale-out backup repository is a single namespace that combines tiers of storage. So you can have your performance tier, which is your on-prem storage. You have a capacity tier, which is S3-based storage. And then you have your archive tier, which is Glacier or Glacier Deep Archive storage. It combines all three of these into a method that allows you to have it automatically be tiered onto these different storages or copied to these different storages, depending upon the settings that you set. But the core feature of that as well is that immutability. What immutability means to Veeam is that we leverage the object lock API within AWS to make sure that that data, the backup data, is protected from malware. It can't be edited, it can't be deleted for a certain period of time that you specify. So this gets to that ransomware protection that we're trying to protect all your backups from. And it works for all of those backups that you see on that screen. So any Veeam backup, we back it up into the same powerful Veeam backup format. And it's universal across all of our products, and all of those products can be leveraged and protected in that method. So you can copy those backups into AWS and make sure that they're protected. We don't like to just harp on you and present, say it ourselves. So we included some of these customer quotes in this presentation. And this one is specific to our encryption. So whenever Veeam moves data or touches data in any way, it's encrypted. So it's encrypted at rest, it's encrypted in transit. And this customer, Michael Masters, has stated, Veeam's built-in encryption helps us protect data before backup, in transit, and at rest. And the reporting that we have helps them make smart decisions and helps them demonstrate to compliance that it is protected in any part of the chain that they're doing. So the next step of that is, we've got data in AWS, right? Or we've moved some data to the cloud. What can I do with that data? So if we look at these use cases, we've got three of them here. We've got a DR use case, a lift and shift, and a dev and test use case. So again, let's look at an architecture. This is a very high-level architecture, and a lot of it looks familiar, but what I wanted to show you here is, again, all of these different backup formats that you see up on the left, as well as other cloud products, back up into the same Veeam backup format, and then we have a feature within VBR, Veeam Backup and Replication, that is called Restore to EC2. And what that does is restore any of those Veeam backups into an EC2 instance. Now, again, that goes back to DR. You can leverage it for DR because we have REST APIs, we have PowerShell, ways that you can automate and orchestrate that recovery. It could be used for lift and shift because you can say, okay, I'm going to take my core environment or I have some machines running in another cloud that I want to move to AWS. Just take a backup of them and then restore them into EC2, and then you're off and running. As well as test dev. There's nothing more powerful than taking a mirror image of your production environment and being able to restore that into EC2 and have your developers work off of a full production-like environment, right? Like have all the data that's currently there, they're able to restore into EC2 and be able to leverage that. So those are some powerful kind of use cases there as well. Again, another quote. Christian Palmas from Palmas Vineyards is saying Veeam is synonymous with DR for them because he knows that he can recover quickly. Again, this goes to show our core principles to make it easy to use, right? We want to make sure that it's very easy to use and that you can know where your data is and be able to leverage that data in any way possible. So that moves us on to our data's in the cloud, our instances are in the cloud. How can I protect those workloads that are running inside of AWS? Eric, can you take us through this, please?
Yeah, thanks, Dustin. So let's talk about what Veeam can do for protecting your data on AWS. So we've got three different things here that we're going to talk about in this section. I'm going to talk about AWS-native backup. Veeam has a custom-built product called Veeam Backup for AWS. Imagine that. That will allow you to protect your different workloads in AWS, including EC2 instances, RDS, and EFS. We're also going to talk about Kubernetes backup. So Veeam recently acquired Kasten, which is our Kubernetes backup solution. And Dustin will have a lot more to share about what Kasten can do to protect those Kubernetes-based workloads. Also, I just want to touch on VMware Cloud on AWS. A lot of the things that Dustin's talked about with Veeam Backup and Replication. Veeam Backup and Replication is the product and the solution that protects VMware environments. So in the same way that it's protecting that data in an on-premises or private data center, you can use Veeam Backup and Replication to protect VMware Cloud on AWS. So again, I'm going to focus now on the AWS native backup product and just some high-level kind of qualities and principles here of what that product is about and what it can offer you. So one of the things that we hear most often from customers is just that it is set it and forget it simple. You set it up, you get your policies set up, you define when you want things to be backed up and how you want to be backed up and how you want the data to be tiered between different tiers of S3, and Veeam takes care of the rest. You set it up and forget about it. A couple other things here are fast and flexible recovery. I actually want to talk a little bit more about the different recovery options, the different backup options here. So let's go ahead and jump to the next slide. So we're looking at here at a high-level diagram of what it would look like to set up Veeam Backup for AWS for your organization. If we look at the slide here, we've got a production account that's holding production data on the left, and we have a backup account where Veeam Backup for AWS is running and where those S3 buckets are that Veeam is backing up into in that account. That's just to help separate where your backup data is from where your production data is. So if something happened to that production account, if it completely fell off the face of the planet, you've still got all of your backup data in that second or that dedicated backup account. So clearly here we can do snapshots and backups. For EC2, RDS, and EFS, we're able to take care of your snapshots of those different services and their storage. And then for EC2 in particular, we're able to actually tier that data that's on EBS into S3 using what we call workers. So that's where we're looking at the slide on the right side, number 2 with the little W. That's indicating that the worker is generating that Veeam image level backup based on those EBS snapshots, and it's storing that backup data in S3. Recently in version 4, we added the ability to tier that data into S3 Glacier and Glacier Deep Archive. So, particularly for those monthlies and those yearly backups, you want that data. You might have, for compliance reasons, you might need to keep it for a very long time or indefinitely, and you want to pay as little as possible because you might not be restoring from that. So that's easy to set up within the policy in Veeam for AWS. One other thing I want to point out here, aside from RDS and EFS and the ability for us to manage the snapshots and life cycle of those snapshots for those services, is VPC settings. Every time I talk to customers about Veeam for AWS and I talk to them about what we're able to do with VPC setting backups, I really get a lot of oohs and ahs because we're able to protect all the VPC settings in the regions and accounts where you have policies set up to protect your EC2 and RDS and EFS instances. So we can restore individual settings for those VPCs or entire VPCs to other regions and other accounts. So very simple to set up, very flexible and powerful. On this next slide here, we're looking at snapshot replication. So, in those events where we need to be able to recover as quickly as possible, we want to use snapshots to recover. So we can easily set up snapshot replication in a Veeam Backup for AWS policy to replicate those snapshots into another region or even into a different account in another region. It's really simple to set up. So, in those situations where you want to plan for that short-term recovery or that full, everything is down, I need to recover everything as quickly as possible, that would be where we recommend to leverage that replica capability. Now let's talk a little bit more about the other recovery options here. So I spoke about this earlier when I was showing you the different services we protect. We can recover the full EC2 instance from a snapshot or from a Veeam image level backup. So again, we're storing those image level backups in Veeam format in S3 and in S3 Glacier and Glacier Deep Archive. A couple of benefits there is that when the worker is generating that Veeam backup data and storing it in S3, we're compressing the data. So we're able to save some data footprint there. And also because we're leveraging different tiers of S3, that's going to be a lower cost storage option than just EBS snapshots by themselves. So there's a couple capabilities that gives us when we're recovering or restoring data in S3. Again, just to touch on the fact that in a DR situation, we can recover entire VPCs to other regions and other accounts. So very, very simple and flexible. For whatever happens, you've got a solution that'll work for you. Now, we talk a lot about DR because that's obviously everyone's nightmare is everything is gone or everything is down, and I need to recover everything quickly. So hopefully that doesn't happen to you, and more often than not, we're going to just be doing file level recoveries. So we have some great file level recovery options in Veeam for AWS as well. So again, there's some squiggly lines here, but just to kind of help everybody walk through it, we can recover individual files from a snapshot or a backup, and we can have those files where you can just download them to your local system. We can also facilitate recovering those files directly back to the instance that they came from. So whether it's a snapshot or a backup, we can enable an additional restore mode during the restore process for a file and recover that data directly back to the instance in its file system. Now, you've heard me say this a few different times already about simple, but here's a testament to that. And this is one thing that I hear a lot from customers who are using Veeam for AWS or who have switched to Veeam for AWS, is that it's very simple to set up and easy to use. The UI is very intuitive, and there's a lot of tools to ensure that the backup is running properly and to keep everything organized. So again, this kind of supports Veeam's overall mission about helping you make data protection simple, so that when you're protecting that data, it's a simple process. When you manage that data to either do your long-term retention or do your restores, that's a simple process that you set up right in the policy when you define what you want to protect and how you want to protect it. So we really appreciate this quote from Skara in the marketplace. Next, I'm going to hand it off to Dustin to talk a little bit more about our Kubernetes backup solution called Kasten. So Dustin?
Hey, thanks, Eric. And yes, Kubernetes backup. We all have it. It's new. As Eric mentioned previously, we acquired a company called Kasten. It's now fully integrated with us, and it's called Kasten by Veeam. Kasten is has a platform called the K10 data management platform. It's purpose-built for Kubernetes. It provides you with an easy-to-use, scalable, and reliable secure system for backup and restore, as well as DR and the mobility of Kubernetes applications. You can see there's three kind of frameworks here. I've mentioned backup and recovery, application mobility, and DR. But you can see some of the capabilities there listed underneath it as well, like multi-tenancy, role-based access control, cross-account, cross-clusters, cross-nodes, cross-everything. We have all of that built into that platform as well. So moving forward, we'll take a look at a couple of other slides. One will be an architecture slide, and then one will be kind of the high-level architecture of the K10 platform itself. So if we look at this one, again, busy slide, right? But what we're showing here is that the diagram is showing 3 availability zones, leveraging multiple different AWS services. This would be a typical kind of Kubernetes design that you would see. You would see multiple different applications, multiple different AZs, as well as multiple different types of storage being leveraged. We can land those backups on S3. We can leverage EKS. We can leverage CloudWatch for reporting and monitoring. And then IAM, of course, for security metrics. But what you also see here is if you look on the right-hand side is that the corporate data center is connected into there. It's a web-based access to the K10 platform, but it has some powerful features in there as well. You have your MFA, you have security credentials. It does plug into a bunch of different namespaces like LDAP and other different domain naming, domain security credentials, things like that. Also, it has role-based access control, so your users or admins can have different levels of access, so that maybe they just need to be able to restore, or maybe you don't want them in there at all. There's a myriad of ways to do that as well. Some of the key features I also want to point out here is that we have the K10 platform is also built to support application migration or mobility. And you can see a variety of different contexts here, cross namespace, cross cluster, cross account, cross region, and of course, cross cloud. So if you have Kubernetes workloads running on-prem in multiple clouds or whatever, the K10 platform can manage all of those. And how do we do that? So the K10 architecture is kind of unique. If you look at the left-hand side here, you'll see that that's a typical kind of high-level Kubernetes deployment, right? You have your virtual and physical infrastructure. You have your container orchestration platform. For this instance, we're using Helm, but we plug into a bunch of other ones. And then you have some apps running on the Kubernetes platform. So you have some cloud-native apps, as well as some apps that have been lifted and shifted. The first part of the K10 platform is it plugs into the orchestrator APIs. Using Kubernetes APIs, it's able to plug in and say, okay, I can see that Helm's here and I'll interact with it. The second portion of it is the infrastructure APIs. The infrastructure APIs are basically storage level. So it's going to plug in and know what it's running on, what type of storage it's using, so that we can facilitate snapshots, snapshot cloning, copying, as well as what we're going to leverage for landing backups on, right? Like object-based storage or file-based storage. And then finally, the most powerful one kind of in my mind is the application framework. K10 has a mechanism in it where we have blueprints. And what that means is that whenever you set it up and connect it to your pod, it's going to automatically detect what's on those containers and be able to protect them appropriately. So the K10 platform, again, is based off a policy-driven design, so that you can set up a policy and then it automatically protects everything that is associated with that policy. And having K10 automatically be able to check and know what's on that pod, like what database is being run, what application is being run, and so forth, makes it even more powerful because it gives you kind of the best design when you're creating your policy. Again, we're going to go to another customer quote here. This one's by Theory Luke, and the thing that he's saying is the Kasten K10 platform provides us with a simple and scalable solution that delivers the best data management capabilities for their AWS workloads. Again, I know we've been harping on it this whole time. It's really simple. We want to make sure that all of our products are simple to use and that it doesn't take a lot of time to manage it. We don't want you spending time managing your backups when there's more important things to be doing. Again, finally, a lot of what we've shown you today has been high-level architectures and designs. Please come by the Veeam booth. Stop by the Veeam booth virtually. We have demo stations. We have SAs there who can answer questions and provide you with a demo. So please come by and check it out. And then finally, on behalf of Eric and myself, I would like to say thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being an AWS customer. Thank you for coming to the Veeam sponsored session. And please, again, stop by the booth